Good morning and welcome to Motivational Monday. We're on this channel every Monday. We aim to give you something positive and motivational to get you straight going into your week where you're going to absolutely smash it and be amazing, have the best week ever. So, how are you? I hope you're good. Now, today I'm going to tackle a slightly controversial subject, and it's quite brave of me, but I read this quote and I actually shared it on my Facebook story yesterday. And it says something like, have the conversation. I've really forgotten. Have the conversation, brave the something. This is not helpful, is it? I will insert that here, all right, so you can read it. And leave the vulnerabilities to one side, and it's ready to get your badass vulnerability, face it head on. So with that in mind, I've decided that I'm going to be really open with you guys today, and lots of areas in my life. There's a lot going on this week for me personally, which could be huge. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be brave, and I like the fact that you guys really like it the more open I am here. We're going to talk about today, and you've seen this from the title of the video, can you find a positive scenario in any situation? And I'm going to bravely say, yes, I believe you can. Now, I'm not trying to belittle anybody's pain or say that you might not go through a process where it's going to feel like the worst thing in the world. But I do believe, I'm going to quote Wayne Dyer now, who I absolutely adore. Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, he absolutely was one of my favourites, and I'm so sad that he's not with us anymore. But go and look him up on YouTube. I'll try and link a video at the end. I could watch the man for hours. He's such a gentle soul, but powerful. The stuff he says, I'm like, whoa. Right, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Let's use the glass half empty and half full scenario. So everybody knows that one. Everybody uses it a lot, including me and a few of the people around me that I know. So you've got a glass. Let's have a look at my coffee. Actually, my coffee's half empty. Oh no, that is a tragedy. No, I'm joking. So this is half empty, but it's also half full. If you look at it as it's half empty, it's like, oh no, I've only got half left. Or you could look at it and go, oh, I've still got half my coffee left. And that is a massive energy shift. This is why it's important to try and find that and not stay in that place of sadness or devastation or whatever it is that you're feeling. Now, I know some things in life happen that are so tough to deal with. I know that. And that we're human beings and we're going to struggle. And I'm really sorry, I'm still struggling. I can't believe after all this time that this is going on. Look at that negative chatter. Oh my God. I'm so much better than I was on March the 20th when they diagnosed me with pneumonia. What I'm going to say is, yes, think of the most awful thing that's happened. Are you still in that place where you're devastated about it and it's an absolute tragedy? Because if you are, I'm going to encourage you to slightly embrace those feelings, but try and slightly move on a bit as well. You know, if you stay there forever, that's going to affect you and make you feel so awful for forever. And I keep thinking about this and thinking that I'm addressing people who've got the worst thing that you could think of, that you're like, oh no, this, you know. I lost my brother at 31 to testicular cancer. Now, he was called a spade. I'm going to say that he was absolutely, he used to say this, and please forgive my language. He used to say, and actually I'm going to have to filter it down because otherwise YouTube won't like it. He used to say, I wish this cancer would piss off to somebody that deserves it. And then he sort of moved on. When he knew he wasn't going to beat it, he started to use funny language, which I still didn't like, and it made me really uncomfortable. But I can remember him phoning me up. I hope this isn't in poor taste, but I'm just quoting how my brother was. He said, oh, I've been down to the funeral directors today and I've chosen my box. So when I cark it, and I was like, Steve, you can't talk like that. And I just refused to believe it. And the day that he died, nobody was more shocked than me, and he'd fought that for 6 years. And I just fell to the floor and I was like, oh my God, and it was such a devastating feeling. But now looking back, was it though? Because he was suffering, and, you know, he then was out of pain and out of suffering. And even though he joked his way all through his chemotherapies and everything, he then wasn't in pain anymore. And it doesn't mean that him dying was a good thing and that he shouldn't have lived a longer life, but try and find that thing where it makes you feel better. It makes the situation better. You know, if you've got something, say if you've got to stand in a queue for ages and you don't like standing in a queue. Now that's me. I don't particularly like, I don't mind waiting for things, but I don't like standing in a queue. The act of standing feels like a real waste of time and it hurts my back. Sometimes you've got to stand in that queue to get that thing, you know, or to get to the place that you want to be. Or could you look at it in different ways? At the moment, because we're still in lockdown, we have to queue for the shops. But if you go later in the day, you don't have to queue for the shops anymore. There isn't a queue, just go straight in. So you can find other ways to work things around and look at things differently. And think, okay, that queue is there, and I'm acknowledging that that queue is there, but I don't want to stand in that at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to shift my day about and I'm going to go later. Look at it differently, get a different outcome. You're happier, you're still getting what you need. And sometimes you just got to go through a process to get to where you want. So I'm trying to think of something else that I can use as an example. I mean, if you guys have got things like that where you've had something that's been really hard and you've been patient or you've dealt with it in certain ways, it is about managing your own emotions as well, I think. And this is something that I've been learning a lot of, probably in the last maybe 5 years, but certainly in the last year. I'm trying really hard to manage my emotions. So if I'm feeling something that's not quite right, I might do something. For example, I might switch off the internet on my phone so that it's not going ding, 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 ding all the time. Now, I love hearing from you guys, don't get me wrong. I love the questions, all of that. But just occasionally, I might think, let me put this down. Let me be more present in what I'm doing. Like today, I've got a lot to achieve here. There is lots of little bits going on with my building works. So that's why we're still in this environment. Lots going on that I need to tie up ends in different rooms, and I'm like, I don't know which room to start in. So to make that more manageable, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to put it, I might not, I mean, it might stay in my pocket because if it rings I need to answer it because of mum. But you know, there are ways of thinking of things differently that's going to enable you to be like, oh yeah, okay, actually that is an awful thing, this has happened. You might need some time to not look for that positive thing, but I would encourage you to, if you can instantly find that positive thing, then do it. I'll give you an example. Quite a lot of years ago now, a relationship I was in, it wasn't a long-term relationship, but it was a fun one. We had some laughs, and that came to an awful end. One of the worst things that I thought had happened at the time. I look back now and it was like, you know, but it was a bit of a, anyway, it doesn't matter why. And I was struggling, so I channeled that energy for 2 days and I went decorating some rooms in my house with the music up, singing up loud. I'd cry when I wanted to cry. After those 2 days, I felt better. I felt so much better. And it was because I've been doing other things. And I can remember, oh my God, in biology class. Now, it was one of the few classes in school that I loved. I hated school. Really didn't like it at all. But in biology, he used to speak so much sense to me. He said, if you've just lost somebody and you're grieving, if you're sitting in a corner just grieving the entire time, then your brain is only thinking about that grieving. If you get up to go and make a sandwich, you've got to think about, your brain has got to coordinate hand movements, putting the butter on the bread, putting the filling in the bread, cutting the bread. It's going to bring in safety. You've got to be safe because you've got a knife in your hands. It's going to bring in the feelings of, I'm going to get food in a minute. And all these different things are going to happen to your physiology. Now, you know, I'm a biochemist, so I know about these things. Stuff is going to be going on with you physiologically that is going to turn your cells from being so negative and so sad into something better. And if you're going to stay there for the rest of your life in that negative, sad, emotional state, then your body is not going to thank you for it. It honestly, it changes things. It really does. Physically, it changes things. I'm testament to that with my Crohn's. I watched something last night, actually. I'm going to try and write down there what it is. It was on Netflix and it was Zac Efron, and I've forgotten the man's name. He looks a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's very much into health and raw vegan foods and lots of like superfoods and things like that. And they went and they investigated water and the properties that different drinking waters can have on your body. And it was just, it blew my mind. And then they went on to look at some miracles that had happened. in a place in France called Lourdes, I think it's called. I might be late to the party with this one, but they have proven miracles. Scientists and doctors have proven that these miracles did happen. I want you to believe that miracles do happen, because they bloody well do. I want to tell you another quick story. You're going to think I'm bats. It's even weird that I use that word. And if you know why, you'll know. Do I tell you this story or don't I? If you're this far in, you're one of my people, you're one of my tribe. So settle in, I'm going to tell you a story. I had a nutrition patient recently, a brand new lady. When she phoned me up, it was beginning of lockdown. She phoned me up, I was having a particularly difficult time with certain things and life being different. Even though I liked lockdown, there was a couple of things that really made me feel sad. Oh my God, I'm actually going to tell you this. It's only because I know you ones that are here 11.5 minutes in are the ones that love me. That sounded conceited and it wasn't meant to, I'm sorry. So this lady phoned me up. This is a really powerful story and you've got to stay with me, and I'm going to lay money on it that I never hear from this lady again. And I'm going to tell you why, and it's not in a bad way. She phoned me up. Her energy was insane. She's older than my mum by a year. Now, my mum has always been a little old lady, negative, glass is half empty. Can I have a sip of my coffee? I better put lipstick all over it. And I always felt that, like, if mum was anywhere around my school, that I was embarrassed because she was this little old lady. And so at the age of, she'll be 81 next month, she's a little old lady, obviously. Not everybody who's 81 is. And this lady was, I need to be careful because of obviously patient confidentiality. I can't speak. So can you see as well how my energy's changed now? I'm settling in to tell you this vulnerable story, knowing that those of you that are watching are incredible, and you can hashtag below vulnerable for me. Don't worry if you can't spell it, just any word, I'll know what you're talking about. So this lady phoned me up. She blew me away on the phone. I was like, she's incredible. She had so much language that was language I would use to do with health, her body, what she already does, how she manages her ill health and things like that. And I was like, I wish every patient was like this, because she was so on the ball. She researched things. She was just sounded very modern. And it was to the point that I thought, that's not the way that a normal patient would speak. Is she actually for real? Is this appointment ever going to happen? So I said to her, I'd give it a few weeks and I'd get back in touch with her because she wanted a one-to-one. So I said, when we can, we have a one-to-one. And she was like, okay, lovely. So I kept in touch a couple of times throughout lockdown, fully expecting not to get a reply to my text messages, and I did. And anyway, this meeting, this socially distant meeting that is allowed, we followed all the rules before anyone goes there, but you guys won't. This meeting happened, and it was the most bizarre thing I've ever encountered. This lady looked like an older version of me. She dressed in things that I would wear. She spoke my language. We were the same star sign. Not that I'm really into things like that, but I don't know. There was so much about her that was an older version of me. And she was so clocked into everything. She told me a story. Again, I need to be a little bit careful just in case, of revealing who she is, sort of thing. But she told me a story of loss, and then she told me a story of a miracle happening. And it really touched my heart. And it brought to light, I don't want to get emotional. It brought to light a thinking pattern in myself. And there was something else that happened actually, and I've forgotten what that was. But these two things together have brought in me to realise that actually I've got a wall up and I'm holding off certain things, not believing miracles can happen, not believing that good thing might actually happen, and it might actually happen to me. Because I can do it in so many walks of life, but there's certain things that you just block. And it felt so poignant to me, what she was saying and how she was saying it. This is why you're going to think I'm nuts now. I am not actually sure. I was sat in a room with a human being. Oh God, that sounds insulting even. There was more to that than there wasn't just a conversation between a nutritionist and her patient. There was more to that. There was messages, there was spirituality. I felt the connection, and I left there thinking, wow. And I felt as though I was never going to see her again. When she waved me off, she was like happy and lovely, and I felt all of this connection, and she was still, miracles can happen, dear. Miracles, you've got to believe, you've got to, and I was like, blimey. And it was quite, I was driving home thinking really, really quite bizarre. Now, I wrote up all her notes, I did all the research of the things that I needed to send her, sent it in the post. She will have had it by now. She's not acknowledged it. She's not replied to any of my text messages since. The meeting was incredible. I gave her lots of really great advice that she's following. I did touch base several times, nothing. And I think that meeting was supposed to happen, not for her and her health, but I think that meeting was supposed to happen for me. And I know that sounds batty, I know it does, but really more crazy stories have been out there, haven't they? More crazy things have happened. And as I watched this programme with Zac Efron yesterday, I was thinking almost, to a degree, I don't know if this was a miracle, but my Crohn's has been in remission since I was diagnosed because of the way that I live my life dietary-wise. And I thought, is that a miracle? Has it gone? Because they very seldom find much disease activity going on in there. And if there has been, it's been related to how I'm living my life food-wise. So I thought I could potentially completely eradicate this from my health. Would they then call that a miracle? I don't know, but I do think there are things that can happen. If you'd have told me 20 years ago where I'll be now, and I've said this before on this channel, I would not believe it, because I'd think you are absolutely nuts. I was in such a place of struggle and lack and difficulty. But let me tell you something else as well. I was also quite happy. You know, I had my children, which is what I wanted. I wouldn't have said my marriage was bad at the time, but how happy I felt afterwards, maybe it was. So even that story, which is going to have to be written really negatively for it to be a story, but the end result is like, wow, look at what happened, and he's happy and I'm happy, and we've got these amazing children that, you know, were an absolute blessing to be put on this earth. And anyway, oh, you get my drift. And I'm just feeling really, having a struggle with my belief today. But I know that tomorrow I'll be back there because I'm going to work on it myself. But miracles do happen. I do believe that. I do fully believe that we can manifest what we think about. And like I say, as Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I can choose to stay with this struggle, or I can take actions to get me through it and out to look at it more positively. And I think that us as human beings, that is what we have to do and where we've got to go. And wow, I really shared that story with you. So who was this lady? What was she? What do you think? Do you think that's a possibility? Have you ever had sort of encounters like that where you feel something out of the ordinary, out of the norm? I'm going to actually have to go because my plaster is about to arrive, and I've switched the doorbell off because I switched my phone off. I am sending loads of love to you. That was a really vulnerable message today. I've really, really laid it out there. So please be kind in the comments. I'd love to chat to you down there as always. I'll see you next time. Wow, I've said that. Oh, blimey. Yeah, as I said on that message, it's time to step into the badass vulnerability. Let's just do it in all the walks of life that I'm facing and encountering at the minute, you know, in health, in finances, in career. It's just, my God, it's going mad. But today, I'm going to get on my marigolds. I'm going to forget that I've got those degrees, and I'm going to clean my dusty bedroom, and I'm going to put away the washing, and I'm going to sort out my kitchen cupboards and all this other stuff. And I'm going to bid you a lovely day, a brilliant week. Please stay motivated. Please believe in miracles, and please try and find the positive in whatever that bad thing is that's niggling away in there, because you can do this. I totally believe in you. And those of you watching 20 minutes in, God bless you. You are precious as. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.